last shot is called the Martini shot, even by people who don't drink martinis.
Well, first of all, through God, all things are possible, so jot that down.
This town needs an enema.
That shit is the Mad Notes, written by God herself and handed down to the greatest band in the world.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
All right, we are live. Welcome to the Martini Shot Hangout, everybody. It is Sunday, May 11th. Happy Mother's Day to all you amazing moms out there. You are appreciated. Go ahead and do me a favor. Click that like button. Share this with some friends. I'm live at 5 every single Sunday, so come by, hang out, shoot your questions in. I'll be sure to get to them. And then next weekend, next Sunday, I'm gonna have Matt from Mad Blood on. We're gonna be ranking the Final Destination movies and talking about bloodlines. So that'll be some fun. Anyway, I wanted to introduce my guest for today. She's an actor, a writer, a director, and you may know her from the Coby Show here on YouTube. I have Coby. Is it Connell?
It's Connell.
Connell. All right. Coby Connell. How are you today?
Hi. Good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy Mother's Day.
Of course. How's so I know that you've been a bit nomadic lately. I guess you're in LA right now?
I am. I just got back, which is nice that the sun came out this weekend. I feel like it's not really summer here. It takes a minute. I live by the beach when I'm in LA, and May, June is just cloudy and gross most of the time. So it's really beautiful today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we've been chatting a little bit before things happen, but before we were able to make this happen. And I know that you got kind of a busy schedule today, so we might have to cut this chat a little early. But I was curious, I came in contact with you through a mutual friend through Cammy, and then I kind of fell down a rabbit hole. I was watching some of your stuff, and it really intrigued me. It's fun watching the reaction content that you have. So what really made you kind of kickstart your YouTube channel? And it seems like your reception and response has been huge. Were you expecting any of that?
No, and I still have no idea, what I'm doing with that stuff and how it works. And I owe all of that to my friend Jason, who he has his channel that I still do reactions for. So he started it, and he actually started it with Cammy too. That's where she was doing hers on Popcorn Roulette.
Okay.
So so he started that, and he sort of explained it to me how it worked. And I sort of, because for me, I was also never a gamer. You know what I mean? So I only know via the internet that people play games and people watch people play games.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as us millennials, that's kind of a foreign thing, but it's definitely very, very popular these days, especially with the younger crowds.
Yeah, mind blowing. I was like, okay. And so then when Jason was saying, it happens for movies too. And at first I was sort of like trepidatious about it, because as an actor, I love playing all different people, right? Like I love however dark or scary or fun or different from myself, but I've never been good at like, hi guys.
Yeah.
As myself. But so with this, I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that and say like, hi, and be myself. But when you're so like delayed for me. Is that normal?
No, I think you're a little bit delayed too, but
okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Are you plugged into the, are you using Wi-Fi? Sometimes it might have like a little bit of a lag there, but you were fine. And then we started rolling and things got a little laggy, but it's okay. I can still hear you and make everything out. So it's no big deal on my end.
Okay, because you were going like this, and I was like, "Oh wait, what?" I think that was just from before.
No, you're good. You're good. You were rolling right there too. I was really intrigued.
I know, but I thought you were starting.
Look, it just reached out. Cammy just reached and she said, "Coby, hi guys, excited for the show." So
she's so cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, she kind of got me into it because she was doing it for Popcorn Roulette, and I was like, I don't want to be me, and I don't have anything to say, and I don't know what to do. And give me a script, and like, I'm sitting here learning lines right now. Like, give me a script and I'll love it. But being myself, I didn't want to. So she did her first one. She did my first one together with me. So I was nervous, and we watched, I want to say Major League, but we actually did it together. Yeah. And so then I started doing it and felt comfortable doing it. And then Jason just sort of, his channel started to blow up, Popcorn Roulette. And he was like, you should have one too, and you can do other movies that I'm more passionate about watching, because I'm more of a indie culty one-off movie than these like universes and these sequels. And so then I started my own, and people kind of came over slowly. So it's early days. Like it's it's still the beginning, but I'm very grateful to have people that actually want to watch.
Yeah. I actually have someone right here that reached in and said, Coby, you've got the best personality. Are you thinking of making any other content on YouTube other than reaction videos? It's actually probably going to be a question I was going to ask you. So that's fair.
Initially, no, like I was never wanting to do stuff. I didn't see myself as I don't even like the word content creator and doing that kind of stuff. But the reaction videos were fun. It was still like film industry adjacent. And so the other things in answer to that question that I wanted to do, and I am going to start, it's been a very busy few months, is I wanted to start doing like supplementary videos for some of the movies I'm watching with the people that are in them, because I have access to them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And then getting maybe a little bit of insight to that project. So one of the things that I'm, about to watch, because I watched Saving Private Ryan and it was so sad.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
And that was a lot, but it was incredible. And so then people were like, you should watch Band of Brothers. And one of my really good friends is in Band of Brothers. So I want to then, use him to do some content and talk about that. And then, there's other movies that I want to watch that I have people in that I know. So kind of do like a little bit inside baseball thing.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. So is one of the highlights of doing those videos, is it that you haven't seen a whole lot of like classic movies? Because I have a whole list here that maybe in a little bit later we could go through, because I think there's gonna be some great videos that you can go through.
Movies. I think I have. So I do want to hear your list, but I thought I'd seen so many movies. There's just so many out there.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And there is a chunk of the 80s where I was little, and I say it in my reaction videos, there is a chunk of like quote unquote boy movies where that's why I'd never seen Commando and like Predator. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah,
you don't really seem like the target audience for those type of movies.
No, and I wasn't then when I was 7 or something. So, and then it kind of, then it passes, and then I'm not like 20 dying to watch Commando. So when I finally do, it's the first time. And that's a question I get a lot. Not a question, but the comments are normally 99% lovely, but then often you get this is fake, she's seen this before. And I would just have no interest in doing that ever. Like on top of having to watch something for 2.5 hours, then pretend I haven't seen it and react how somebody would what a nightmare.
So I do have kind of like an inside baseball question, because my content is usually like I do movie reviews, and then I'll do some commentary, film analysis, rank movies, like for my long form videos on YouTube. So I've never really done the reaction thing. I'm curious, because I know that with fair use and stuff like that, how long can you show the clips, and is that kind of, do you edit the videos yourself, or do you have someone else do that? Because that seems like it could kind of be a headache going through it.
7 seconds, I think. And yes, headache. And music is a killer.
Oh, I know. Music's actually one of the harder things. Even just doing like movie reviews, or if I was talking about a Star Wars one, and I used just a little bit of music from Star Wars, and boom, right away, copyright strike.
And how long did that go for? Like just for a tiny bit?
Yeah, it was just a tiny bit. And then I mean the thing with the copyright strikes is if you challenge them and just be like, hey, I just used it for this part. It wasn't, they usually like 9 out of 10 times they'll just be like, oh yeah, no, you're fine, you're good. But if you don't challenge it, it'll just stay on your channel. So it's definitely worth it.
It's better to challenge.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I have someone here that says they're hooked on some of your content. More Al Pacino films, please.
Right. So. I will. And it's hard, but I love Al Pacino. So it's hard to find stuff, but I do want to watch Carlito's Way, because I've never seen that.
Oh, that's a great one. Brian De Palma. Yeah, you should definitely check that one out. It's got the Scarface feel to it, but in a different way. Actually, I think Carlito's Way is a pretty underrated film. I think you'll probably enjoy that.
Scarface gets all the airtime.
It does. And that's a remake. I say that's one of the best remakes ever made. But one of the videos that I saw that you did, I think one of the first ones was The Thing, and that's like one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. and just watching you squeal and stuff to that I couldn't get enough. It was
because I had no idea. Like,
yeah.
I think I've said it before, and because I just recently watched The Abyss too, I
Mhm,
said
yeah.
that I would get the two confused. The poster is like a bluey white shadowy thing, like I'm like,
Right.
so they both fell under the same category. And so the thing, I knew it was going to be like a little bit, but in the title, like, what is it? I had no idea it was going to be so gross.
It is. And you know what's, I think just with the practical effects, it adds such a more gruesome layer to it, I guess you could say. That's one of the some of the best practical effects in any movie ever. I still hold to this day.
It was great. That the spider with the head, get it away.
Yes.
That was so intense.
And you know, it's too bad they made a prequel to it in 2011, I think, and they used so much CGI. If they'd just gone with the practical effects, and that actually probably could have been a pretty cool movie, but for the most part, it's just kind of one of those
things about that, because some people were like, go watch it. It was about the Norwegian. It was about whoever was there first, right?
Yes. Yeah. It actually tells a decent story. It's just so 2010s CGI laden that it really took away from what made the first one so great.
Right. But the thing was awesome, and so was The Abyss, for what it's worth.
The Abyss is great. The Abyss is great. I know some people feel a little funny about that movie, especially towards the third act, but I absolutely love that movie. It's a fun ride the whole time.
I liked it. I could the aliens I might have drawn differently to the glittery things that they were. But
yeah. Well, and it's cool too that they're aliens from the water. You know, it's not outer space aliens. So it was a different concept on it. I thought was really cool to it.
That's right. They weren't necessarily not from somewhere else.
Yeah. So I know that you mentioned that you're an Aussie here in the States for 12 years now. What got you into the whole acting thing and going that route? And how are you finding the industry these days? You know, I talk to a lot of people on here in the industry, and everybody's kind of got varying degrees of how they feel about things.
I came out here. First of all, like, my family is very creative. So my mom and my stepdad met in acting school when I was 2.
Okay.
You know, like they're writers. He's a musician. He was in like Australia's biggest punk band. Like he's amazing. And she was a model and an actress. And, you know, so I came from this sort of creative house that was always very supportive of following that. You know, we've done projects together. We made a movie as a family, like lots of fun stuff. So when it came time to, it was about 2012, 13, around then, 12. And I wanted to come out here because then it was a thing of you kind of had to be here, a little bit more boots on the ground. Sure, right. People were sending in tapes for stuff and having Australian representation was great and all, but it definitely wasn't the way that it is now with how remote you can be, you know. So yeah, some things happened, and I got out of a relationship that wasn't working, and I sold my apartment in Australia, and I was like, I have no ties. I'm going to go and like jump in and go to America, knowing nobody, and did it. And I have loved it. It's been a slow haul, but it's been a really fun journey. And I am, like you said, I've been nomadic. I think I'm always nomadic. Like I like picking up easily. I'm not a hoarder. I'm very like minimalist. I can just go. So it's been fun, but the industry, how it's changed. There's good and bad, you know. The good stuff is the stuff that I think most of us agree on, which is that access to creation that we never used to have. So if you have an idea or a project or a project that you want to do 15 years ago, good luck. Like, you know, you couldn't do it, but now it's much easier to be able to like get stuff out there. All this, you know, self, you know, we used to call things four-walling it when you made a movie and had to like get it out yourself without distribution. But now with all these platforms, YouTube especially, you know, people can do that. But in terms of the downside and AI and the industry,
that was actually going to lead in. That was going to lead me to my next question with AI. It's a scary thing. And
you know, I think am I Gen X or millennial? I'm in there somewhere. What are we?
I think we're millennial. Yeah.
Okay. But the reason I don't even know is because I'm a boomer in here.
Yeah, that's my wife says the same thing.
I figured it out. My perfect year to be born would have been 1955. So being like that, I'm not this tech person. I'm not. I think it's great for medical stuff, and but I'm not on the forefront of yay tech
Yeah.
and AI and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I noticed that you have. Is it your upcoming feature film that you're directing?
That one is the one that comes up as a director. That's my documentary.
Oh, okay. Because I saw it on there.
Yeah.
I meant to ask about it, but I was curious with AI. Kind of how that's really changing the game. I just made a big video on YouTube. You guys can go check it out, but it's basically like I think AI is a great tool, especially for research and kind of really helping brainstorm ideas and stuff like that. But the real problem I'm having with it, at least from my perspective, is it seems like a lot of studios are looking at it as job replacement or way to speed things up, or there's a lot of things going on behind closed doors that we're not privy to, but you can just kind of see it unfolding before us. So I was curious, have you noticed any change at all in the industry on your end? Does it make you scared kind of from like, because I know that I've noticed that you've written some things and you're doing the documentary.
The writing thing is scary because from what I understand, like that's something that those AI, I don't even know how it works. I'm really speaking out of turn in terms of how
that's
fair. They do that so fast. Like I know a friend of mine had to like do a speech for like this corporate thing. This is out of the film industry, but needed like AI to like tweak this speech. And it was great for her to do that,
Yeah, sure.
But it's so instant. Whereas for me, it's, replacing anything like that and anything creative. Like I got a job working on this film that was that was clearly like written by some sort of AI thing, because it was verticals have been sort of taking over as well because of this other platform. I'm not really interested in doing that, again, but I thought I would do it once and try it, and it's tricky when you can see like a script just sort of had some AI influence, or it doesn't ring true, or there's like a little bit of that. So that's like the first step.
Yeah, it's soulless almost.
And you're like, okay, this was like, and they're like, no, it was a book and it got just translated. You're like, no, this is not making sense. But with the other stuff, it's sort of that thing of, join them. If you can't beat them, join them, which is scary because I've got a film coming up later this year where they did approach me about a couple of scenes and said, because AI is becoming such a prominent thing, I understand too that directors and writers themselves and filmmakers in general, you kind of, you can be for parts of it, against parts of it, but then you also don't want to be left behind. So like this director who's so lovely was like, is trying to figure out a way to incorporate things in a way that isn't an issue. You know what I mean? That isn't as supporting the actor's way, but still using a technology that is here whether you like it or not, so it's
I think the biggest problem I've had, at least with Hollywood's approach to it, is with the WGA strike and things of that, they're making a really big deal out of it. They're like, hey, listen, we don't want this stealing our jobs, and then they're utilizing it in a lot of stuff now. So it's like, you guys gotta I'm all about you using it. It's fine. It's a really effective tool. It's like, just be transparent about it. Just came across as a big,
but it is messy and contradictory then. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even I couldn't post, you know how like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you saw, but I think everybody saw, everybody was turning themselves into a packaged doll.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's fine. If you're an accountant or you're whatever, and you think, oh, this is fun, look at me as a doll. But I, in good conscience, I just couldn't, like, I was like, we strike for so long about AI and all this. I'm just going to step out of the thing for a second, because it's like, it's so pick and choose, we're like, we're against, but now all those people that, picketed forever, they're like, this is me as a doll. You're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And I watch so many movies, like so many movies, a lot of streaming movies. And even this is where I think the slippery slope stuff kind of comes in. It's even if they're not using AI, streaming movies really have a weird, not weird, a very generic flow with them now. And after I watch it, I go, you can't convince me that whole thing wasn't written by AI. There's no soul. It seems real generic. And even if it's not true, it's like the door that they kind of open leads you to believe that anyway. But yeah, so I think one of the good things though that I've noticed coming out of the industry, at least lately, is it seems like there's this little indie push. It seems like a lot more indie movies are getting made. Little indie studios are kind of starting to come up a little bit. So it seems like there's a lot to look down upon, but there is a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, I agree. And not just little. Like, I feel like people don't realize that. I feel like people out of the industry think that indie means like some people made it for $5,000, you know,
Right.
But it's not. Like, there's still there's millions of dollars there. Like, 3 million is still low budget.
Oh, sure.
And, you know, there are a lot of stuff. And the people that, you know, like the Sean Bakers and whatever that are very vocal about it, are encouraging that. And I love that, you know. So there is that exciting part of it that kind of drives you even more. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for someone like you, especially, you know, with your kind of all over the place, you're a content creator, you're an actor, you're making your own documentary, you're writing different things. I think it's a really good. And I know Cammie was just saying that she's in talks right now with pitching her first movie too. So it's like, I think it's a lot easier now for people to take your stuff seriously, especially if they know that it's not written by AI. There's going to be a lot of excitement out there from certain studio heads, I think.
yeah, and that's what I mean by that's one of the upshots of where we are, you know, of our, like the future compared to when I say, oh, I wish it was the 60s. You know, that stuff of having that content. If you can get in front of the right people, you have a much better shot of really getting something back to supported and made. So
yeah. So
my documentary spun out of the strike. Like, no one was doing anything. We couldn't do anything. Everything shut down. And my mom found out that her godmother, who she hadn't seen for 50 years, like, because my mom's Argentinian, so she hadn't seen her. They were living in Buenos Aires, and she hadn't seen her in 50 years. Was living in Washington, D.C. And my stepfather, he had always, just his whole life, like he's 70, had wanted to drive across the country in an RV. That neither of them had ever been in an RV. So all of that. So that's what I'm editing in the editing process of now, and I can't wait to share it. But
I'm excited. Yeah, you got to let me know when that comes out. I'll be the first to shout that out on all the socials and stuff. That's exciting. So is that what it's about? Are you allowed to kind of discuss what it's about?
Yeah. It's totally. I mean, it was a complete passion project. It's me driving them from LA to New York for like 5 weeks across the country. It's just Cash and I and my mom and my stepdad.
That's awesome.
And it's not a straight shot like we do, you know, zigzag all over for stuff and get there. But so much stuff happened, Chris. Oh my goodness! At the time, I was heartbroken. I was like, they're sick. They're ruining the movie. I've poured everything into this. And at the end of the day, I think that had all of those hurdles not happened, I would only really have a commercial for like Drive Across America. But now I have this. I mean, it was a lot. It basically has in turn become a movie about that switch when the children become the parents. You know, like it's
that's interesting. That's
that I cry. Everybody, my mom is crying at one point. It turned out to be a lot. So I really, really want to finish it because I think that there's something there.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's funny because we're the same age, but I think we're getting to that age where we look at our parents and, you know, who used to always be such strong examples, and now you're going, oh man, you're old. You know, you're not.
So scary.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, but you know, it's just life. But it is interesting. It does put things into perspective from you, just how fast. Because I remember when my dad was my age, and now he's in his 70s, and you know, it's just like he's not moving, he's not thinking the same way that he used to. He probably hate to hear me say this. He's a doctor, so he's a real bright guy.
Right,
but
yeah.
But it's just, you know, it's just part of life, and part of being a kid watching your parents get old is one of the more heartbreaking things, but it's also a beautiful thing, I think.
It's beautiful. And the thing is, we're lucky to have, like, that's what I always say, you know, every day that we have is so lucky. So many people don't get as long. So
yeah, that's true.
It's also because I hadn't lived there for 10 years. You know, I've been here so long that when I go back home to Australia at Christmas and stuff every year, it doesn't matter if I'm 40 or 14, I'm still the kid. So because it's a short time in their house.
Yeah.
But then getting on the road and doing this where like I drove every day the whole time, I had to figure it all out. I had to cook. I had they were unwell because it was such a long flight for them. So that was basically what started. It wasn't anything serious unwell. It was just that I had a finite amount of time because my grandfather is in a home, and so my mom didn't want to be away for longer than for the month, right? So they basically landed after a 16-hour flight, and I was like, "Get in the RV, let's go!" And so, I mean, that's the only thing I would have changed. If I could do it again, I would have given them like 3 or 4 days to kind of just rest.
Sure. But, yeah. That's a brutal flight at that age.
And they just needed, I think they just needed a good night's sleep before it. Maybe none of it would have happened, but it was incredible, and it was the coolest experience. And even if it ends up just on the cutting room floor, so to speak, it was amazing. And that's why I mentioned to you before, I went to Philly, but just for 3 seconds. And we were literally like at the very end trying to get to like Jersey, Newark Airport. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So I just had a question and I lost it. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed watching through your stuff is just I can see the passion, the light in your eyes when you're watching some of these older movies. Do you see that happening with newer movies nowadays? Because I feel like with some of the newer movies, they don't have the same spark. They don't have the same feel, the same love, I guess, tendered to them. And that's not to say all movies. There's a lot of good movies that do come out nowadays, but it doesn't, I don't know. There's something about going back and watching, like, I know that your most recent one was Last of the Mohicans. And it's like, when you watch that movie, you go, this is a classic for a reason. Like, this movie is so well crafted. It's so well acted. The costumes are insane. The characters that they're really able to put on screen, you really get invested in. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your take on that.
Well, since you bring up Last of the Mohicans, as a quick caveat to that reaction, I am Australian. I did not read that book in school. So we learned a lot about Australian history. So there's a lot of that, like 18th century history that I don't know. And I'd like to think that I'm intelligent and know enough about a lot of stuff. But with that one, sure, I went in very blind with a lot of that. So I've seen a lot of comments that are like, how do you not know they're different terms? It's like, I was just watching it for the masterpiece that it is. And, and Michael Mann, incredible. But it was, and that one specifically, you talk about watching something with that kind of like gleam in your eye and in awe, and that is an epic. Like you say, the costumes, the scenery, the gravitas of the story, like you just watch it. The last 15 minutes, nobody says anything, but I'm just like, it was amazing. And I do think that it's hard to generalize. Like, I don't want to say you're right, all the new movies don't have that. There some do, but I definitely know what you mean. And that's why I think I do have that sort of sweet spot of 80s to early 2000s where there is that Hollywood, that movie feel. I don't even want to say the word blockbuster because it's not about that, but it's about it's a thing in here. It's like, whether it's like the happy ending or whether it is a format element that is nostalgic because of our age, I don't know. But there is something about those ones where, it is very different to now where one might be doing too much or trying to be too, I don't know. I'm also not a sequel guy where like all those franchises, I'm much a neophyte with universes and that's a big problem now is because or however many there are.
I think that's a really big problem. Just, you make one successful movie and it's like, all right, well, let's make 30 of them. They're kind of doing that with John Wick. When the first trust me, I'm a 40-year-old guy. I love the John Wick movies, but it's like, do we really need, 5 of them and then all these spinoffs come in and stuff?
And I liked it too. I'd never seen one of them. I watched them for Popcorn Roulette. Obviously, I did not know that I did not know what it was about. So that was horrific in the first one.
Yeah. That makes sense. You're like, you mess with my dog, I'm going after you.
Oh, I get it. I'd be woman on fire. I get it.
Yeah, totally. And so one of the, it's just reminded me, one of the questions I do have is, you're from Australia. Clearly you've been Americanized with the accent. So when you go back home, does that accent automatically just come right back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my mom's a New Yorker, but she hasn't lived there for 40 years or whatever. And every time she goes back, like instantly her accent comes back. It's kind of funny to watch.
It does. It's instant. And to be honest, it even happens if there's an Australian here I'm talking to. I can concentrate and do it. A lot of it's been a thing because people are like, where's your accent? I came here acting. It
Right.
was born out of necessity. Like asking a waiter for a sparkling water was so hard. They're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, a sparkling water." Then, like, if sparkling water was not,
Yeah, sparkling water.
yeah. So then it became like easier to converse, and then I had to be able to do it as an actor and say that I could do an American accent. And then it is who I feel like. It's not an accent that because people write, "Why are you doing an American accent?" It's how I talk, but it's because it's what I hear. So it does go in and out. I just don't think about it day to day. If I'm playing Australian, I can obviously tap into and do an Australian accent. It does take more work than you think to do.
I'm sure it does. You probably overthink it a little bit too, right?
Yeah, and if I can hear another Australian, it's easy. But like I'll do it now. This would be me sounding Australian, right? But to do it today, it does take work to sound like this, which is crazy. But if I was home talking to my friends, yeah, there you go. That's my Australian.
I love it. So are you able to slip into a British accent with relative ease? I know.
Yeah, I mean, I love accents. Accents are so much fun. We don't have any. Like in Australia, we're the same size as you, right?
But
yeah. We have like two accents. We have like one really, but we have like an accent that's like a city, a little bit more, say, polished. Like, I don't know. And then it gets just a little bit more laxed, I guess, if you get a bit more in towards the middle and more country. But that's it. We don't have 50.
Yeah. Like America's got different sections and different accents. And then there's some states like California doesn't, I mean, it has like local accents, I guess, but there's not like an accent in California.
Right. But you can like, SoCal it up, these like vocal fries and whatever that like there are things to make it distinctly Californian.
Yeah. So is it like if you're speaking to your mom on the phone or something too, do you kind of slip in and out of it a little bit too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a mess. Because I don't think about it. People are like, "Oh, I just don't." And so like initially, I would go in and out all the time. And people are like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Don't worry."
That's great though. I mean, I think it's important for what you do for a living. Just to kind of,
it's a fun element to add to a character. Like for me, if someone's from Boston or from like Long Island and do the walk talk, like, well, I love that. Like, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, all the big American like superheroes and stuff like Batman, Superman, they're all played by Brits or Australians, and it's like, just because I don't know, did you find an American accent hard? Because I've actually heard from people that those can actually be more challenging than you think.
It's also easier than you think in the respect that we grew up with it, right? Like you guys
watching mass media,
and before and back then in the 80s and 90s and everything, we didn't have the sort of multicultural entertainment that we do now as much, right? Then it was hard if you want to sit down and watch a Korean movie. Now you're like, oh, there's like a million. But back then, all the cartoons, everything, most of the stuff that you would watch as a child had an American accent. So it's something that you heard from birth,
right?
Whereas you guys as Americans, you don't grow up watching Australian cartoons.
That's true. I do like a lot of Australian movies though. There's one of my favorite Westerns ever made. I
bet I haven't seen it.
Yeah. And then there was
wait,
like
cut out. What was it?
What was it? See, now I'm blanking on it.
Oh yeah, clearly a favorite, Chris.
40-year-old brain losing it. It's with Guy Pearce. Western. Let's see. The Proposition. Sorry. My brain totally blanked. But no, it's so good. It's called The Proposition. Very, very dark Western, but it's a Western movie and it's Australian. And then there was a series I just watched recently called Territory that took place in Australia. It was excellent on Netflix.
I don't even know it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Yellowstone in Australia. Like,
no, I've never
a guy who owns a giant ranch out there. What's that?
I've never seen an episode of Yellowstone.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll see. Then we're gonna have to go through our list soon. Do you care about the Marvel movies? I have a guy that says that he thought Thunderbolts was just okay. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So you haven't seen it?
85 movies behind. I know that over on Popcorn, they're starting me. Like I watched, and this is gonna be is Spider-Man Marvel?
Yes. Yeah. It's confusing because Sony owns the full rights to Spider-Man movies. but they are licensing it to Marvel to put it in the MCU. So there's a lot of confusion there, especially if you're not paying like super close attention to it. But yeah, he's a Marvel character.
Okay, so that was I just started Marvel. I have watched 3 Spider-Man.
The Tobey Maguire ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what'd you think of Spider-Man 1 through 3?
I loved 1. Like I get so let me say this too.
Sure.
There are movies when I do the reactions, I think that I enjoy it more because it's never fake. I will promise you all that, and to anybody that watches them, it's never fake. Like I'll say, I don't really love that, but I definitely enjoy them more than if I was at home because I'm just invested in a different way. Like I'm kind of like ready to watch,
Sure.
and you get suckered in completely, right? In normal life, I'm like, on my phone, maybe getting a snack, going to the bathroom, doing whatever. It's a very different experience. So with those, I do think that like once I hit play, I'm in, So because of that, the enjoyment factor is always higher than I think if someone said, hey, let's throw on Spider-Man. But It was great. And I love the figuring out of stuff. So that's why 1 is my favorite, because it's that initial changing of him.
Yeah.
And it's Willem Dafoe, and it's awesome. 1 was my favorite, and then 2 was still good, and then 3 was like the weird.
Yeah. They stuffed way too much stuff into the 3rd one.
So much stuff. It had Ned from Ned and Stacy. It had Venom. It was a lot.
Yeah. I personally I think Spider-Man 2 is one of the best superhero movies ever made. I like the.
Oh, that's with the Octopussy. That's with the.
Yeah, and I think that's regarded as one of the higher ones just in general. But I went back and watched it with my son who's 9, and he thought the first 2 Spider-Man were like the best movies ever made, and I hadn't seen them in years just because
they're great at my age.
Oh yeah, real solid. Sam Raimi too. He has a unique style in the way he shoots a movie, and there's a lot of Evil Dead references. If you're a fan of those movies, I don't know if you've ever seen them. They don't seem like they'd be up your alley, but
I just did for reactions. I'd never seen one. I watched them for their reactions, and so that's why I didn't know. Huh?
I was gonna see what you thought about them. Yeah.
I don't know if they're my favorite movies.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was excited to finally spot Bruce Campbell in Spider-Man 3 because people were saying, "Oh, did you see him in the first one and the second one?" And I didn't know. 1, I didn't know who I was looking for, and 2, I just didn't recognize him in such a small role. But then in Spider-Man 3, before you even saw him, he goes like this, like the waiter clicks, and I go, "It's gonna be Bruce Campbell!" I was so excited.
Yeah, and then the scene in 2 when Doc Ock is getting the things put on with the doctors, and he starts, killing all the doctors, and he picks the chainsaw up. That's from Evil Dead. So that's yeah. There's a lot of little Easter eggs to fans of those movies in there. And then in the first Spider-Man, he's the guy who introduces him as the wrestling
match.
Yeah. And he's like, Man Spider, that's a stupid name, and he comes up with Spider-Man.
Which is great, but I only knew that after the fact. I was like, oh.
And do you know who he is in the second one after the fact?
At the theater.
Yep. Yeah, he wouldn't let him in. See, look at you.
Marvel fan, Marvel aficionado.
Look at you. You're changing the game as we speak. So I'm gonna pull up my list here. I came up with the list of some movies that I think would be great. Okay. But you've probably seen a lot of these, but I was like, I had to come up with some ideas because I've seen a lot of your content, and I'm like, I think this video would be awesome if she hasn't seen this one before.
And it's both, I want to watch stuff. It's a balance between, and so I'm sort of started to do 2 a week, where one is like a bigger one and one is a smaller one, because it's my little business now too. So I want them to get the views, but then there are films that I want to watch that no one's going to care about.
Sure.
So it's interesting finding that balance. So all right, let me hear it.
Yeah, well, I got to say before, just as a caveat, before we do it, I saw you did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
That was for me. No one wanted me to watch that, but I was like, I want to watch it. It was so good.
It's so good, and it's such a well-written movie to where there's one thing happening, but you're like, oh, this is what's actually happening, and once that dawns on you, you're like, this movie's incredible. Okay, so number 1 I have here.
I'm excited when something's different. I feel like you've touched on it in a few different times when we're talking about AI, when we're talking about just studios, when we're talking about mass production. Like there are so many things, and sure, like, good artists borrow, great artists steal, whatever. Like
Yep.
there are ideas that are always going to be recirculated, and it's like with music, there's a particular number of chords or something like there. You can't,
Right.
but
I think it's 12, right? Something like that. 12 notes, 12 chords.
like,
I'm not a music person, so.
There's 12, sure. And so, but with that, so when a movie does, same with something like Being John Malkovich or something, when it's weird and works, I get so excited because I'm like, I haven't seen this before. This is a crazy idea, and it got executed and it works, and you see the creativity, and that kind of really excites me and inspires me. So
yeah, that's great. Well, I wanted to start off with this list. And if you guys have any that you want to throw in the comments, feel free to. Just because he's since passed away, and I think he's one of the best underrated actors is Val Kilmer. And so Tombstone. Have you seen Tombstone?
Okay, so Tombstone. This is the other thing when people say, because I'm so honesty is a big thing for me, so that's why I'll never watch something that I've seen and pretend I haven't. And so Tombstone is one that I don't remember anything, but I know that at some point I feel like you know what I mean? So it's one that I do want to watch. I don't remember anything, but I feel
I think that'd be good. Just say rewatching it for the second time, but I don't remember. You can always put that little caveat up there.
Yeah, it would be like a first time watch. Same with Aliens. Like I know I've seen them a million years ago,
right?
But I got nothing.
Yeah.
So I might have to do Tombstone, Chris.
I think that'd be great. That'd be interesting to see you watch it now, especially like at our age and going back and being like, oh, Val Kilmer just passed away, and just watching his performance in that movie. It's just like he steals every scene. Okay. I have Matt, who's on next week. What's up, Matt? He's saying, what's up, y'all? Okay. So number 2, I have 12 Angry Men.
You can send me this list if I need it after.
Oh yeah. I could totally send it to you, or you could go back and watch this. I think Cammie went back and watched some of the movies that I was putting on, throwing her way last week. So number 2 would be 12 Angry Men. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I love it.
Okay, so this one you probably haven't seen.
I have a reaction for it. I have it somewhere. Sure.
Okay, cool. So this one you may not have seen, but I think it would do huge traction for you. Is Dark City. Have you seen or heard of this movie?
Yes, and it's on my channel. It was my first reaction when I started the cooking show.
Okay.
I've never heard of it. And it was a request from my Patreon channel. So on Patreon, like there's like lower members, which is just like the full watch alongs, but then you can actually request. And Dark City and Donnie Darko were my first 2 that I did. Yeah,
that's a hell of a way to kick things off, because Dark City is one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever, and
I've never even heard of it. And he's Australian. It's Alex. What's his name?
Alex Proyas. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an Australian. He directed The First Crow, which is a great movie, but the remake was a travesty.
Wait, so the Brandon Lee one?
Yeah.
And then the new one is the Bill Skarsgård one.
Yes. Yeah. The new one, I couldn't stand it, but the old one with Brandon Lee, his last movie that he died on set, is
that on your list? Because I haven't seen that, and that's
no, it's not, and you should definitely do one on that. That movie's fantastic. It's it's still got it's very 90s. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't aged as well, but if you go back and watch it, it is awesome.
Okay.
And then here you go. Cammie says, yes, I watched Happy Death Day 1 and 2, which I recommended to her. And she said, Chris is great with recommendations. So listen to your friend there. Okay. So then I have Gattaca. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Because I also want to be 2 inches taller.
Right. Yeah, the Gattaca is one of those movies that came out. I think it bombed bad at the box office.
Right. I loved Gattaca. It was so the eyelash. I remember like finding an eyelash in the keyboard. I remember it vividly.
Yeah, no, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Godzilla -1. Have you seen that?
I have seen no Zillas, no Kong, no none of it. So I have to go in order, apparently. So
watch, well, not with Godzilla -1. So Godzilla -1 came out in 2023. It was one of my favorite movies from that year. It's Japanese, so it was them celebrating their 70th anniversary of Godzilla. It's all made in Japan. It's subtitles, but it is an unbelievable movie just outside of the fact that Godzilla's in it. He's more of a nuisance. You know, with the new Godzilla movies, and I'll just say this from my perspective, the new Godzilla movies are kind of like WWE. You know, Godzilla's there, they're destroying half the cities, but there's not really, you kind of like Godzilla. You root for him in the Americanized versions of him. In this one, he's basically like a nuclear bomb, and there's this story of a guy whose entire town was destroyed, and he comes across a woman and a child that aren't, you know, he's not married to this woman, and he's not a father of this child. He takes them in, and it's this story of like human struggle, and you feel like the real threat of Godzilla is there, where it's just like at any moment their entire existence could cease to be there. And it's just, if you put that, I'd be real interested to watch that one. I'd watch it from beginning to end, seeing your reaction to it, because it's a very emotionally investing movie.
It's got like a real grounded in reality connection.
Yeah, it's not the Americanized version at all. It's a very good story told that Godzilla just happens to be in.
No American studio, nothing. It's a full.
Nope. It's all Japanese. It's actually the biggest Japanese movie in American history. So like when it came here, people really went to go see it. They loved it. And it won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and the movie was made for $15 million. So it was like peanuts compared to what the Godzilla movies we produce in this country were made.
150, like
yeah, like easily $200 million that they throw at those big ones, and this was made for $15 million. So it's great movie. So I highly recommend that one.
That one, like, I know nothing about it, but I do remember hearing how much people liked it and were impressed.
Yeah, it was surprising. I remember I went to the theater to see it. I saw it at early screening, and then I came out and I was like, "What did I just watch?" I thought it was just going to be like every other Godzilla movie. It didn't really have the buzz around it yet.
Yeah, like no one knew. It just went because of the name, because of the Godzilla sort of related.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people probably showed up and were like, "What is this movie? This isn't God," you know, because there's a lot more to it. It's an actual Godzilla movie with heart.
Okay.
And you get emotionally invested in the human characters, and you know, you look at Godzilla, you're like, I'm not rooting for him at all. You know, I want him to stop this nonsense.
I didn't even know that we did root for him in the other ones.
Well, you know, it's just he's like teaming up with King Kong, and they're stopping the underworld from coming. You know.
Spoilers, don't
Yeah. So then another movie I have is Blue Velvet. Have you watched that? The David Lynch movie who we just lost recently.
No. But that's on my list. I could prove it to you. I have a little list in here. That is the top of my list, because when he died, I remember saying in my Elephant Man reaction. Oof.
Oh, okay. That's a great movie.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And David Lynch isn't for everybody. You know, he's very out there with a lot of them. But Blue Velvet's probably one of his more digestible movies for mainstream audiences. It's a pretty straightforward story. There's not a lot of weirdness to it, but it's not an easy watch.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Dennis Hopper is unbelievable. He's so unhinged. He plays like one of the best villains in any movie ever in that movie. So highly recommend that one.
I might have to jump it up the list because I want to go to, here in LA, we have a cemetery called Hollywood Forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I used to live right next to it.
Oh, okay. So then, so it's an amazing cemetery, and like his top buried in there, and a lot of people are. And then in the summertime they do movie nights, and they do this, it's Cinespia, and they do like it's a huge picnic, and it's a whole event every night of a different movie. And I've gone a bunch. Like I went and saw, my favorite stuff, like Goodfellas and Mulholland Drive. And I've seen a bunch of things they've just set out the summer schedule, and Blue Velvet's on it. So I want to go. So because I don't want to watch it there for the first time, because I want to do a reaction to it, I might have to hurry up, do a Blue Velvet reaction.
I love it.
Go to the theater. So I can go to the cemetery.
When you do, I'm totally going to check that one out. Okay. So I got another one, Chinatown. Have you seen that?
No.
Chinatown would be a good one.
That no is, there's some that like I get embarrassed that it's a no. I go, that's one of the ones that like you're just meant to have. And so like I'm pretty sure that
like 12 Angry Men, like you should have, like grown up watching that movie. Yeah.
I know, but sometimes the pressure is like, oh, okay, but all right, I'll do it. I will do it.
Okay, cool. And we were talking about The Thing earlier. Have you seen Escape from New York?
No, that's Kurt Russell, right?
Yep, and John Carpenter, who directed The Thing. It's it's not a scary movie. It's kind of a like New York City becomes a dystopian place, and it's a prison So that's where basically they put all the inmates in there, and Kurt Russell has to go in there, and he plays one of the most badass characters in the history of cinema. Yeah, yep. Snake Plissken.
What is it?
Snake Plissken.
Okay. So again, I've never seen it, but my friend Johnny Whitworth, he's an actor, and he said, "Oh, like you know who he is?"
No.
He's like in Empire Records and Limitless.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. But his birthday is Halloween, and so his birthday parties is always a Halloween dress up. And I just remember one year I have a picture of him. I was a genie or something, but he was a very good snake, and I didn't know who it was, but he explained. So now that's why I always remember who that character is.
It's a cool movie. It's John Carpenter was on a tear like in the 80s. You know, I don't think he gets enough credit for the movies because he was doing Halloween, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York.
Right.
Yeah, he was killing it back then. Okay, well then I have Blade Runner. Is that a movie that you've watched or reacted to?
Yeah, I haven't reacted to, but I used to watch it as a little girl all the time. My stepmom years and years ago, it was her favorite movie. So I had watched that, and then I watched the new one when it came out.
Yeah. What'd you think of the new one? Did you like it? A lot of people like it. A lot of people don't.
I went for that one. It's sometimes hard to go to the theater, and I often, now that everything's sort of like streamable and stuff, but for that one, I remember I did go. So I went, and it was because seeing it in huge, it was amazing in that setting. So I never watched it a second time.
Okay.
I love Harrison Ford, but different.
Yeah.
I feel like it was different. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I have The Prestige, Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman.
It's so good.
It is. I think it's Nolan's most underrated movie, and so I was like, I just got to throw this on here. A lot of people who haven't seen that movie, and
wait, let me just make sure I'm right. That's The Magicians. That's and David Bowie is in it.
David Bowie, yeah, he plays Nikola Tesla. It's so good. Such a great movie.
I gotta say that movie is super underrated, like you said, because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about it. But I figure, I don't want to ruin it for people that haven't, but it's old. People know it.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, you figured out the twist.
Yeah, and it was so good.
So good. So good. How about The Raid? Have you seen or heard of this movie?
The Raid?
The Raid. RAID. So it's I think the movie takes place in Singapore. It's basically like like the SWAT team out there gets called to this building that's full of gangsters. It's one of the best action movies ever made.
Year?
I think it was 2015. I want to say.
Okay.
Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but it was around then. And it's basically the SWAT team has to show up and get to the top to like the big boss up there. And it's a crazy movie, but I bet if you made a video reaction to it, people be like, yes, I've been waiting for someone to watch and review this movie, react to this movie. It's awesome.
Well, that's the thing too, right? There are movies out there that other people haven't reacted to, but that people are secretly fans of.
Oh, yeah.
For a few things of mine when people are like, nobody's reacted to this, and even the Doors and things that I did when Val Kilmer died and stuff, like so I'm looking for stuff like that.
This is one. It's it's subtitles, and I think it's maybe an hour and 20 minutes. It's not a big investment.
I love that.
Yeah, well, actually, they made a sequel to it, which is a completely different. It goes a completely different direction, and I think it's better. It develops the characters a lot more. There's some insane action in the second one, but the first one's just a great place to start. It's a cult classic. People absolutely love that movie for the sheer action, and there's a emotional heart to it. So it's not just like explosions and crazy fight scenes. There's actually, as they say in the acting world, back pocket objectives in that.
Right. When you first said The Raid, what popped into my head? What's the movie? I never remember what it's called because I call it the shrimp movie.
The shrimp movie?
Yeah, because they're like giant shrimps walking around this like junkyard.
District 9?
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, I put that on this list, so you just answered that one. I love that movie.
It's so cool. It's so weird. It's so awesome, but I never remember.
Weird. And it takes such a huge twist in the first act of that movie that you're like, whoa, I did not expect that to happen.
The shrimp movie.
The shrimp movie. That's so funny. And then I have Warrior. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
With Tom Hardy.
I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Someone just requested it on my Patreon as well, and I was like, I can't. I know it. So yeah.
Yep.
Great.
How about Dredd?
Like Judge Dredd?
Yep. Just Dredd, the one with Carl Urban. So there's the Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone, and then there's Dredd that came out in 2012, I believe. Awesome movie.
Is it the same character? Is it a cartoon person?
Yeah. So when Sylvester Stallone came out with his version of Judge Dredd, people really didn't like it because in the comics he never takes his helmet off, but in this one Carl Urban leaves it on the whole time. Real straightforward story. Lena Headey's in it, the Cersei from Game of Thrones. Really solid movie.
I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Said it.
I love it. That's my wife. She hasn't watched it. I introduced her to a lot of content. But horror movies are off the table. She's like, no, I can't do the horror movies.
But Game of Thrones is horror. It's like dragons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great series. The last season, everybody has a really big problem with, myself included, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
I just have like a dragon thing, even though I would like a dragon in real life. I've never seen anything that's like dragony or swordy, or it's. I don't mean to go, but I tend to not watch it, so that's why I've never seen Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna watch it very soon for Popcorn Roulette. It's Cammie's favorite movie ever. So every time
mine too. The first one's like my favorite movie ever.
See? People love it. So yeah, I've never seen that, never seen Game of Thrones, and that's why those ones I said. I've seen Dragonheart with Sean Connery. That's my dragon.
Yeah, Sean Connery and Dennis Quaid. That's a solid movie. The CGI hasn't aged well, but it's still got a lot of heart in that movie. No pun intended. Yeah, right. How about Face Off? Have you seen that with Nicholas?
Dragon. Face Off, I love. I could quote it from the beginning to the end.
Oh yeah. Smokey and the Bandit.
Casters.
I was gonna say Smokey and the Bandit. Have you seen that?
Never seen it.
Oh yeah, that'd probably be a good one. Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, top of the peak of their careers. Really interesting concept nowadays to think about. But yeah, if you went back and watched that, I bet people would love that. What's that?
Is it a Western?
No. Oh. No, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a guy who's in a car. There's bootlegging. He's trying to get from one place to another. Yeah, it's just a classic for a reason. Okay. So that would be a good one to put on the list. How about Children of Men?
With Clive Owen?
Yeah.
That one I've seen. I don't remember it, but it falls in that category of like, I know I had the DVD and I watched it years ago.
Okay. That would be one I definitely recommend. Going back, Braveheart. I'm sure you've seen that. No? Oh my gosh. So yeah, you did Last of the Mohicans. Braveheart would be awesome for you to watch. I actually prefer it to Last of the Mohicans. I know a lot of people aren't in the same boat with me there, but I think that movie's just masterfully made. I know it's historically inaccurate. People are getting
I'll probably get it wrong anyway. I'll be like, cool.
Yeah. Because I was alive 600 years ago. I know exactly how it went down. But as far as the movie's made, it's fantastic.
Okay. It's my friend Andrew's favorite film ever.
It's up there for me too.
Yeah, so I am. That is literally in the next sort of handful of things I'm going to watch. So that should be on the channel by June.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I know that one line. They can take our something. They can't take our freedom.
Yep. They can take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Yep.
That's all I got.
Yeah, such a good movie. So emotional. All right, I got a few more for you. How about Sisu?
Good ones on there though. Like, you'll talk. I'll listen back later and get them.
But yeah, I can send you the list too. I'm more than happy to do that. But how about Sisu? Have you seen that?
No, I don't even know what that is.
No, I was actually telling Cammie to check this out when I had her on a couple weeks ago. It's Sisu, Sisu. It's a recent movie. It's kind of so essentially it's this Finnish gold miner. He's out there minding his own business. It's during the end of World War II. He's digging for gold, and then he makes a score, finds a whole bunch of gold, and he has to take it from where he is to a bank. I think it's in Germany, but in the time he has to cross Nazi occupied areas, and basically it's like the Nazis bully him, but then you find out that this dude's like John Wick essentially.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah, he's like John Wick essentially, and they're like, "Oh, we messed with the wrong guy on the wrong day," and it's so hokey, but it's so entertaining, and you
Okay.
find yourself kind of like, "Yes," the whole time. And they're actually making a sequel right now to it, so they don't need to, they didn't need to, but yeah, yep, that's just where we are. And then the last two I have are Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock.
Vertigo is my favorite Hitchcock movie.
Okay, me too. Me too.
It's everything. It's so good. I was watching, what movie was I watching recently for reaction? And they were watching Vertigo in it. But I remember
Okay.
yeah. And I was like, ooh, because I could see it on the theater screen. Vertigo's fantastic. I loved it so
good.
much. Mhm.
So good. And then Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen that?
I've never seen it.
That'd be a good one. It's, when it first came out, that
I
was
thought it got
Kubrick's.
panned.
Yeah, it got panned, and it was Kubrick's last film. And I know that there's like behind the scenes stories of just, Kubrick making Tom Cruise walk through a doorway shot. He did it like 100 times or something. Like, just, the guy was kind of losing his marbles at the end there, but he was notoriously like, we need to get this shot exactly right sort of guy. But if you go back and watch it now, it really has all the components that make a great movie. And it's people now are like, this movie's a masterpiece, actually. So if you watch that one, I'd be real interested to see how some of your viewers.
But let me tell you this and see if you pick it instead. I've never seen A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I really want to see that.
Yeah. The Clockwork Orange is, it's a not rated movie. So there's some really crazy scenes in there.
So I'm not going to get it. It's gonna ruin my channel.
Yeah, but it's totally a classic for a reason. It's well worth a watch. And you've seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, I'm assuming.
And so that was the start of. So Jason, who is in Atlanta, who runs Popcorn Roulette, in his studio, he has like a bunch of posters set up just as like decoration in the studio. Because he's like the biggest movie buff. He's an encyclopedia. He's incredible. Nobody knows more about movies.
Yeah.
And one of the posters he has is 2001. And I've never seen it. And so I was so excited about that one. But that was my very first reaction on my channel. And that movie kind of changed my life and my career, being able to do this as an actual reactor on YouTube and stuff, because that was the very first one I uploaded. I absolutely loved it.
It's so good.
I said during it, it has become my sleep movie. To put it on and just hear it and watch it, and even though it gets terrifying, it's still just this it's just beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally.
And it's sort of, even in its horror, it's peaceful. It's so beautiful. And so I put that up as my very first one. And again, I'm still new with all this YouTube stuff, but I know it can take some time to, get enough viewers and subscribers and to all of that to turn into a proper channel. And that very first video did it all in one go. So it's up to 100 and something that it just did so well. And I'm really grateful to everybody that watched it, but it meant that my channel became legit straight away. It was wonderful. So great movie.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. You never know what video is going to pop off. And once it does, you're like, wow, I was not expecting that. So that's really cool.
I still think it's my top video, and not just because it was first. So it's been around longer, but by far, I think it is that one.
Yeah, how long ago did you start your channel?
Just in December.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you've grown pretty steadily since that time. That's great. I'm excited for you.
Steadily.
Yeah. It takes a while. YouTube's not I've seen so many people come and go where they start something and then they're just like, I'm not getting the traction. I'm like, you just got to stick with it. YouTube's one of those where it rewards you for persistence.
Persistence and consistency.
Yeah, persistence and consistency. That's what I try to tell people. And then the last one, I have Tom Pranks here added in, An American Werewolf in London. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah. That's one you should definitely check out. That's a lot of the practical effects back in the day. So much fun.
I say that I don't like superheroes and dragons and stuff like that, but I do love a werewolf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that will definitely go on the list. I also have on my list Wolf. I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
A very interesting movie. At the time,
no one has requested it. I just want to watch it.
Yeah. I think at the time that movie wasn't a big hit with the critics, but over time, it's become a real big cult classic. So yeah, I recommend that. But American Werewolf in London is probably one of, if not the best werewolf movies ever, in my opinion.
Okay, so it is actually a werewolf. It's not, you know how sometimes a title can be cryptic. So it is a werewolf.
No, it definitely is. And it was made in the early 80s, so it's got so many cool practical effects like The Thing. You know, there's the transformation scenes are kind of brutal, and you're like, yeah, this is, and it's
That one might have just jumped up the list a little then. American Werewolf.
I think so. Yeah, that'd be real interested. I'm sorry?
In London or Paris?
In London. Paris was the sequel from the 90s, I believe. It's fun, but it's not American Werewolf in London. It's not.
Okay. I gotta make sure I watch the right one. So the first one is American Werewolf in London.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So that's what I recommend there. Well, Coby, I know we're getting close to our time. You actually stayed longer than I was expecting to. This was a blast.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you on here again. This was so much fun. But let everybody know where they can find you and what have you got coming up?
You had me on the Coby Show, but I think that little handle is just Coby Show.
I have it here. Let me pull. I can put it up for everybody to see. There you go. YouTube at Coby Show. There it is.
Yes, and I know when you search it, you might have to sift through a little Bill Cosby. Apparently, people are like, it always comes up the Cosby Show. And I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, because I can see that happening. That's hilarious.
But I'm not changing it. I'm just gonna outgrow. I'm gonna get bigger than the Cosby Show so that it won't matter. But that's where I'm gonna have. So at the moment, I do a reaction on Monday night and Friday night, and I'm gonna slowly start to put in a TV show on Wednesday night. So I'm gonna start with the Band of Brothers, like I was saying, and get to do those on Wednesday. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and other than that, I should have a couple of movies coming out, which will be really exciting, and I'll get to share that when we get closer. But that's it. And as soon as I finish the documentary, which is Into the Great Wide Open, that'll sort of be out next year.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what you have coming up. Do you have we got in touch on Instagram. Do you point people there usually to give you a follow on Instagram?
Yeah. I use that more. I sort of am on that all the time. So that's a good way to stay up to date if you want to. It's just my name. So it's at Coby Connell. And that's what it is on Instagram. That's what it is on Patreon. And then YouTube is Coby Show.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I know you got some rehearsals because you're a busy gal, but thank you so much for hopping on, Coby. It was so great chatting with you. I want to do this again sometime soon. So don't be a stranger. And I look forward to everything you have. It was
awesome. A lot of fun. No, Chris, honestly, I was nervous. I am nervous about these rehearsals. But it was really nice talking to you. So I'm glad that we got to have the full hour because that was a blast.
Yeah. And keep in touch with everything. I'm glad that, there was no awkward pauses or anything like that. We were able to get right to business. I know you called me, you were like, oh, I know how these things go. Sometimes I'm like, look, I was
like, I'm not talking for hours and hours. No one wants to hear me for hours.
No, you were great. You're very entertaining, very gracious. And I can't wait to see.
I wonder if the recording, when you play it back, I wonder if it's on time. But for me,
it is. I was actually just watching it. Everything seems to be streamlined on the YouTube. So
for me, when I stopped, it's because you looked like you were going stop, and I was like, oh.
No, you're good. You're good. I would have told you. And I have a little private chat here that I could have been like, hey, I can't hear anything, but no, we were good. But all right, Coby. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Happy Mother's Day again to all you amazing moms out there. And tune in next week, guys. Yeah, exactly. I absolutely will. And make sure you tune in again next week, guys. I got Matt from Mad Blood and potentially another special guest when we talk about the Final Destination movies. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Take care, guys.